Daily Trust News Center. This is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, Kano Election Tribunal sacks Governor Yusuf, declares APC's Gawuna winner. NAF airstrike hits target, eliminates 8 terrorists in Borno. FCT rakes in 1.9 billion naira from ground rent payment. And away from Nigeria, Ali Bongo's son and other relatives jailed for high treason. Hello and welcome to Trust News Hour. I am Abdurrahman Umar. Thanks for joining. And now to begin. Kano Governorship Election Petition Tribunal has sacked Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf, declaring the All Progressives Congress APC winner of the March 18 governorship election. Chairman of the 3-man panel, Justice Oloyemi Akintan Osedebe, delivered the judgment via Zoom. The court deducted 165,663 votes from Governor Yusuf total as invalid votes, stating that the ballot papers were not stamped or signed and therefore declared invalid. Idris Jibrin has a report.
According to the presiding judges of the tribunal, the candidate of the New Nigeria People's Party, Abba Kabir, has not won the March 18 gubernatorial election based on evidence presented before the tribunal.
The declaration by the returning officer was wrongly made. We filed this petition to show that, and clearly we have demonstrated it by bringing in invalid ballot papers, 165,000 of the ballot papers, and the court went through these ballot papers one after the other and confirmed that these ballot papers were not signed, stamped and dated, and the law says it shall be signed, stamped and dated. So all these 3 must be there, not 2, not 1, all the 3 must be there, and the court of course accordingly deducted these invalid votes from the votes of NNPP.
The tribunal therefore directed that the Independent National Electoral Commission to withdraw certificate earlier presented to the NNPP candidate and issue a fresh one to the APC candidate Nasuru Gawuna.
The court has said that the certificate issued to the NNPP's candidate, the certificate should be withdrawn and a new one should be given to Nasir Yusuf Gawuna. Now, it is now left for them. If they are not satisfied, they can go on appeal.
Counsel to the APC, Lawan Musa, says the tribunal has further directed that the APC candidate Nasuru Gawuna should be sworn in as a duly elected governor of Kano State, even as the NNPP promised to appeal the verdict.
The tribunal has delivered its own judgment. We are going to consult our clients, and I can assure you that we are going to appeal against this judgment, because it's a judgment which we felt does not manifest the justice of the matter, and I can assure you this decision would be set aside on appeal.
Meanwhile, hundreds of people are said to have been taken to the streets of Kano metropolis in celebration of the judgment, which the NNPP say it will appeal. Idris Jibrin, Trust TV News, Kano.
Now, Kano-based legal practitioner Abba Hikima joins us via Zoom to share legal perspective on the Kano Tribunal judgment. Thank you so much, Mr. Abba, for taking the time to join us on News Hour tonight.
Thank you very much for having me tonight.
Yes. Now, Mr. Abba, what's your take on the tribunal verdict that voided over 165,000 votes belonging to NNPP? Is that not an indictment on the part of INEC? And do you see this case going off to the Supreme Court?
Well, like you heard from the counsel, shedding light earlier, that was actually the finding of the court. I was in the court today when the court found out that such number of ballot papers were actually wrongly counted, and that same number of votes were also deducted from the total votes gotten by the incumbent governor of Kano State. And that actually brought down his own votes to somewhere around 800 and plus thousand, way below the actual votes gotten by the, first runner-up, Nasir Yusuf Gawuna. And it was on that basis that the court actually directed that Nasir Yusuf Gawuna should be returned elected, and he should be given a certificate of return, haven't scored the majority of local votes cast in the opinion of the court. So that was actually the finding.
Okay, on legal matters, what is your legal perspective on the judgment? Some will say the verdict was comprehensive in view of the fact that the NNPP just presented one witness before the tribunal. It seems we have lost Mr. Abba, but when we caught him in the moment, we get him. In the meantime, police authorities in Kano have imposed a 24-hour curfew to preserve law and order in the state. A statement signed by Police Commissioner Usainu Gumeld dispatched the people of the state to give the necessary support to the security forces dispatched to the nooks and crannies, including the entry and exits of the state, to ensure enforcement and strict compliance with the curfew order, as communicated by the state government. Now, even though the atmosphere in Kano is apprehensive after the tribunal judgment, businesses remain open on some Kano streets. Tribunal had ordered the withdrawal of certificate of return from Governor Yusuf and directed that a new one should be issued to the All Progressives Congress governorship candidate, Nasur Gawuna. Normal vehicular movement is recorded on the ever-busy Maiduguri Road. Traders had earlier started locking their shops in Kano major markets as people are rushing to go home. All right, Mr. Abba, can you hear me now? Seem we have him back. All right, the question, as I was earlier asking you, is that on the legal perspective on the judgment, some would say the verdict was comprehensive in view of the fact that the NNPP just presented one witness before the tribunal. What's your take on that?
Generally, and especially in election matters, one does not get to win an election or win a case generally on the weakness of the defense. You cannot rely on the weakness of the defense. You have to present your case credibly and competently before you can win. It does not matter whether the respondent has actually called any oral evidence or not. As long as the petitioners did not present their case well, then it is of course, the petitioners cannot get whatever relief they are asking the court. And especially in this case, the Section 63 of the Electoral Act is clear that although ballot papers have to be stamped, dated, and signed, but where the presiding officer is convinced that such ballot paper is from the bunch of the ballot papers given to the electoral officials for that election, then the presiding officer shall go ahead and count that particular ballot paper. Section 63 of the Electoral Act is clear about that. So there is therefore, in our own humble view, the presumption of regularity. There's a presumption that the returning officers of the respective polling units must have counted such ballot papers, must have been convinced that in spite of those ballot papers not having the signature and the date and the stamp, the law has given the presiding officer discretion to still go ahead and count such ballot papers.
All right,
so and then generally also, it is known that in the parlance of the legal parlance, discretion is also.
All right, Mr. Abba Hikima, thank you so much for taking the time to join us and shed more light on the Kano Tribunal judgment. Now, moving on, the Kano State Governorship, the Bauchi State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal has affirmed the victory of Governor Bala Mohammed of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, in the March 18 governorship election held in the state. The tribunal dismissed the petition filed by the All Progressives Congress, APC, and its governorship candidate, former Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiku Abubakar. It held that there is no strong reason to nullify the election as the election was conducted in compliance with the law. The judgment was delivered by a three-man panel chaired by Justice P.T. Kwahara. Meanwhile, some journalists in Bauchi State are angry with the conduct of some security operatives who refused them access to the Governorship Election Petition Tribunal bill to deliver its final judgment. The journalists allege that the Tribunal Secretary Hafsat Kings gave the order to bar them into the premises of the court. Adamu Imam reports.
It is Judgment Day and media men have come to cover the proceedings, but met stern-looking security men who asked them to leave the court premises. Journalists say they have been covering tribunal's proceedings to keep the society aware of what is happening, wondering why they are denied access to the courtroom now.
But when we go to the gate, we have to cross 3 barricades. We got to the last one, which is the one that will lead us into the premises, but the security agents there told us point blank that we are not allowed. After we even showed ourselves, identified ourselves as journalists, the leader of the team now told us, look, the secretary has instructed them that journalists are not allowed inside the premises. Only AIT, NTA, and Channels TV were allowed inside. We now put call through to her, and she confirmed that only those 3 will be allowed inside. After a lot of talking, she allowed the correspondent of News Agency of Nigeria to go in. So all of us that were there had to come back.
Well, as you can see, security men are everywhere barricading access to all roads leading to the venue of the Bauchi State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal, which is expected to deliver a judgment today. And unfortunately for us as journalists who left our houses early in the morning just to get access to mediate information to our audience across nooks and crannies of the country, we were unfortunate not to be given access to the venue of the tribunal.
They insist their rights to disseminate information in public interest are guaranteed by the Constitution.
Well, the thing is, this will create room for reports that may not be fair, that may not be accurate, and may not be correct, because you now rely on hearsay. This is what the tribunal said, which you didn't hear, and it's not supposed to be so. The tribunal is a public place which everybody that has a business there should be allowed.
And it is unfortunate that this is coming from the judiciary, which is the last hope of the common man, and journalists or media per se, going by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria at the 4th estate of the rank. Therefore, we are an independent check on the judiciary and other arms of government, and the Constitution granted and guaranteed freedom of the press to access information, access to public records and what have you. And it is very unfortunate that this is coming from someone who is working in
I think it's not even fair at all to truncate the freedom of information by the pressmen. Let those that did this act should tender a general apology to the press, more especially here in Bauchi.
APC governorship candidates Abubakar Sadiq challenged victory of Governor Bala Mohammed during the March 2023 governorship election in the state. Adami Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
The Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukayode Ariwola, has called on Nigerians to imbibe the culture of less litigation and more of alternative dispute resolution mechanisms so that courts can be freed of unnecessary burden and depletion of both human and material resources. Justice Ariwola spoke at the Supreme Court while inaugurating the 9 newly appointed justices of the Court of Appeal. Report.
Given reasons for the continued rise in court cases, the CJN says several novel crimes are being committed in the country that have now made litigations to go on a steady rise. He laments that Nigeria continuously ranks among the most litigious countries in the world.
It is a solemn pledge and, of course, commitment to good conduct in the course of your adjudication, especially as senior judicial officers in the appellate court, We're not here for long speeches, but simply to realign your minds with what is expected of you at this very high and enviable level of adjudication. Many high-profile cases will definitely come to you on appeal, and they may likely come in some juicy and irresistible gifts that are often intended to dent your reputation and integrity. I admonish you so that your lordship should flee from such disguised temptations, because your reputation and integrity matter much.
The CJN warned the new appeal court justices to avoid running afoul of the law by running away from all forms of corruption and temptations. He reminded them that the oath administered on them to assume office as justices of the Court of Appeal is a solemn pledge and commitment to good conduct in the course of their adjudication, especially as senior judicial officers in the appellate court.
You must, against all odds, conduct your affairs within the ambit of the law and the oath that you have just been administered on you. The level of public scrutiny of your conduct will, henceforth, assume astronomical dimension, because you have willingly taken up appointment that will strategically place you perennially in the eye of the storm.
While urging the newly inaugurated justices to redouble their effort and dialogue properly with their conscience, the CJN further admonished their lordships to flee from temptations in disguise, saying their reputation and integrity matter much and count enormously in their rise to honor and fame in life.
The absence of former Governor Aminu Waziri Tambuwal, his deputy Manir Lengya, and some members of his cabinet on Wednesday stalled the proceedings of the Sokoto State Commission of Inquiry. The commission was set up to probe the sale and auctioning of government assets as well as land allocations during Governor Tambuwal's administration. At the resumed sitting, counsel to the commission Amanzi said all attempts to personally serve the former governor and some members of his cabinet with the witness summons and Memo 1 and 2 proved abortive. Memorandum 1 is on the improper monetization of 40 Toyota Land Cruiser Prado SUV allocated to the former members of the State Executive Council, while Memorandum 2 is on matters affecting Ministry of Agriculture in the state. The council, however, made oral application seeking the order of the chairman of the commission to serve them through substituted means, citing relevant rules of the commission as justification. Ruling on the two applications, the chairman, Justice Moazu Pindiga, ordered the council to serve them through a substituted means, just as he adjourned the hearing on Memo 001 till September 30th and Memo 002 till October 3rd for hearing. Now, ahead of the Imo State governorship election, the resident electoral commissioner in the state, Sylvia Agu, has revealed that a large number of permanent voters' cards, PVCs, remain uncollected till date. Agu stated this while briefing journalists at the state head office of the commission in Owerri. Trust TV's Ajibade Awefeso has the details in the report.
Imo, Bayelsa and Kogi are scheduled to hold governorship elections come November 11, 2023. Preparation towards the exercise are in top gear in Imo State, even as the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, expresses readiness for the exercise. However, there are some shortcomings being experienced by the Commission, as most residents are not forthcoming to pick permanent voters' cards, PVCs. She decried low turnout of residents in the collection of their PVCs.
INEC Imo State still has many uncollected PVCs piled in each of the 27 LGAs of the state. About 134 presently, 134,000 presently. I therefore use this opportunity to once again urge Imolites to call for their PVCs of the respective INEC, for their PVCs and the respective INEC LG offices.
Some residents who spoke on the possible cause of their unwillingness to pick their PVCs said Nigerians seems to have lost interest in the credibility of the electoral umpire.
INEC has also confirmed that they cannot be trusted. Of course, to make it even worse, the judiciary has said nobody can prove fraud. Haven't you listened to the judgments? So why would somebody collect PVCs and then go and waste his time?
Most of Imolites are not comfortable with the INEC of today. The INEC of today. So going there, why am I going to collect PVC when I know after voting my vote will not count? Why should I be wasting my time? Look at the economy generally. Look at the system generally. Everybody's seeing that Ford is now 620. Is not INEC?
The rep further revealed that the commission is ever ready to deliver a free, fair and credible election come November and urged the residents to approach the designated centers for the collection of their PVCs and endeavor to cast their votes on the date of the poll.
On the issue of security, we have been having meetings, we have been engaging with the security agencies, and they've been assuring us that they're going to provide security. So we trust that with the various engagements that on that very day there will be nothing to fear. I encourage all the Imolites to come out and cast their votes.
With INEC affirming its readiness for the exercise, it is hope of all that the 2023 governorship election in the state will be conducted in a manner that will reflect the true choice of the electorate. Ajibade Awofeso, Trust TV News, Owerri.
And now on security matters, airstrike of a Nigerian Air Force NAV aircraft under Operation Hiding Kai on Wednesday destroyed a gun truck, killing 8 terrorists at Baranga village of Marti local government area of Borno State. The Director of Public Relations and Information, NAV Air Commodore Edward Gapquet, said in a statement in Abuja that the strike was executed while on armed reconnaissance mission in the area. Gapquet said the airstrike was in furtherance of sustained onslaught against remnants of terrorists in the northeast. He said the opportunity strike, which presented itself unexpectedly, occurred when 2 armed terrorists on a motorcycle were trailed along an active track. Gapquet said the terrorists took cover under a thick vegetation after sighting the aircraft, adding that a gun truck with 8 terrorists suddenly appeared, speeding off to evade the aircraft. He said remnants of terrorists in the northeast continue to seek the covers of thick forest and vegetation to evade being detected by the armed forces of Nigeria and other security agencies. Now, some residents of Jalingo, the Taraba state capital, are living in fear as bandits sacked surrounding villages and abducted dozens of people, including women and children. The bandits in their hundreds invaded several villages across River Lamurde in Arlakola local government area, which is located close to Jalingo, and sacked some residents thereafter. Those sacked have fled to Jalingo town and are staying with relatives who are also in fear of possible attacks by the bandits. Findings revealed that residents of Jalingo around Kaswanyelwa, CBN area, Babayau, Sabangari, Mile 6 area, among other areas, are under the threat of attack by bandits. It was learned that few people around the areas were abducted and 2 persons killed by the bandits last week. A female resident of an area across River Lamore who fled to Jalingo at Dahawa told our reporter that 11 persons were abducted in her village. She said the kidnappers have demanded a ransom of 2 million naira for each of the 11 persons they abducted. Meanwhile, the Office of the Abuja Geographic Information Systems Agency has become a beehive of activities following the order by Federal Capital Territory Minister Nyesom Wike to publish the names of the defaulters in the national dailies. The minister also gave the defaulters 2 weeks after the publication to pay up or have their property revoked. AG's office, located on number 4 Peace Drive, Area 11, Garki, Abuja, is receiving debtors of ground rents who are visiting the office in a bid to beat the ultimatum and void impending revocation of their property. The acting director, AG's Isiaku Ndazu Alpha, confirmed to journalists that there has been a surge in payment of ground rents since the minister ordered the publication of the debtors in the national dailies and threatened to revoke the defaulters within 2 weeks. According to him, collections from June to July were at lowest ebb, but immediately after the minister's actions in August, ground rent earnings quickly rose to 500 million, growing steadily to over 1 billion. In order to cope with the surge of customers into Aegis, the director revealed that additional laptops and computer systems have been procured, and the deployment of staff within sections have been effected to meet up with the minister's 2-week ultimatum. In the meantime, the House of Representatives Ad Hoc Committee investigating the sales and disposal of public property has given a final warning of appearance to the Nigerian Customs Service to appear before it or face the full wrath of law. The committee, chaired by Majority Leader Julius Ohambere, criticized the Customs Service for ignoring their summons after 2 invitations. The report.
The mandate of the ad hoc committee is to investigate the disposal of public property from 2010 to 2022, as well as unravel the extent of illegal auctioning of public property and non-remittance of revenue realized into the consolidated revenue of the Federation. Its chairman, Julius Uhura, is not happy with the Nigeria Customs Service for allowing it to spend from its scarce resources in publishing the summons in newspapers, only to get a reply of an apology from the service of their inability to appear before the committee due to some operations outside Abuja.
Nigeria Customs left Abuja for that operation. The service hereby respectfully requests for another date for the appearance of the acting CGC before the committee. I think what the customs is assuming is that this ad hoc committee has a limitless life. Just like if you import a vehicle, there is a time within which you must clear it before it goes into demurrage. And after some time, they will take necessary steps within and even auction your vehicle, no matter the type. So I think it is irresponsible of the Nigeria Customs to once again take the invitation to this house lightly. They think this is a joke. I want to assure them I'm ready to go the entire length of the law with the Nigeria Customs. They must appear before the house.
He noted that the arrogance of power and indiscipline in the public system can have negative consequences and as such should be addressed.
We've been respectful, we've published the summons in the paper. The summons carries a date when they must appear. And then they send me some innocuous letter signed by one Deputy Controller General, Finance Admin and Technical Services who feels too big to even come here in person. This kind of arrogance of power and indiscipline must be wiped out in this system. It cannot continue. It cannot continue. And we're empowered by the Constitution to make sure that agencies of government funded by the National Assembly do the right thing. And whether the customs like it or not, they must and will do the right thing.
The committee chairman thereafter met with the Nigeria Ports Authority but was not convinced with representations. They were asked to come back next Monday with relevant documents.
You are watching News Hour on Trust TV. Coming off after the break, we take a look at reasons for congestions in correctional centers. Details of this and more after the break. Please stay with us.
That's right. You too could be one of the 20 Zenith Bank customers that will win 150,000 Naira every 2 weeks from June 1st, 2023 until May 31st, 2024 in the Zenith Better Life Promo 3. To qualify, simply open a Zenith Bank account. For more information, visit www.zenithbank.com/betterlife. Live the better life with Zenith Bank.
Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is the News Hour on Trust TV, and here is a recap of some of our top stories. Kano Election Tribunal sacks Governor Yusuf, declares APC's Gawuna winner. And NAF airstrike hits target, eliminates 8 terrorists in Borno. Now to more news. The delay in the dispensation of criminal cases has been identified as being responsible for the congestion of correctional centers across the nation. Nasarawa State Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice Labaran Magaji stated this when he hosted members of the correspondent chapel of the Nigeria Union of Journalists, Elafia. Trust TV's Abubakar Abdullahi sent in the report as presented from our studio.
The Nasarawa State Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Labaran Magaji, while lamenting the unnecessary stay of citizens in correctional centers in the country, attributed such to unnecessary delay in the prosecution of criminal cases. Magaji, who was a federal prosecutor, said this has also led to the denial and delay of justice for individuals, thereby causing avoidable trauma on the victims.
There are offenses that ordinarily people should serve some other alternative punishments rather than being detained in the prison facility. But because of certain emotions and sentiments, either from the prosecution or from the judges, the next minute, the same categories of people are being thrown into the detention facility. These are extremely unacceptable.
He said there is need to review some of the trials in order to find out those awaiting trial and what is delaying their cases. The chief law officer in the state further charged the citizens to always obey the law of the land, to avoid facing trial at any cost, as government would not fold its hand and allow people to break the law and go scot-free.
And for the prison to be decongested, then it behoves on the citizens to see to it that the rule of law is the guiding principle. Otherwise, prison will continue to be congested by reason of our default, by reason of our affront with the law. And so, decongesting the prison is two ways. One from the side of the citizens and the other on the side of the government.
He further charged journalists to support the system by enlightening the public on the need to be law-abiding in order not to suffer unnecessary incarceration.
Residents of Makurdi, the Benue State capital, want the federal government to intervene as heavy rains wreak more havoc on some roads across the state. According to them, the situation has become a major risk for commuters who shuttle through the interstates and intrastate routes. Jimmy Azandi has more.
Benue residents said for now, the Makurdi-Lafia-Kefi-Abuja Trunk A Road is the only highway in the state that is in good condition.
Why? Because, one, it will lessen the congestion on the highway. It will reduce rate of accident on the highway too. And also it will boost the morale of travelers. Because you see, before now, people feel that the road from Makurdi to Abuja is a very bad one, and that traveling, it's a problem to them in terms of bad road and bad structure of the road.
The other roads connecting other states and local governments are in a sorry state. In most cases, these roads have become death traps, thereby risking the lives of commuters.
Basically, the roads are terrible. One would say the federal roads in Benue State are in a very bad shape. If you take, for instance, from Makurdi to Enugu, it's not motorable. A journey that should have taken you barely 3-4 hours, you're doing 6 hours on the road. It's not just Makurdi to Enugu. Boko to Vandikia, through you, it's terrible.
They want the government to fix the basic amenities like roads in the state to ensure a seamless flow of vehicular traffic.
Because we, the electorate, we don't demand any kind of a form of incentive by giving us cash. All we need is social amenities. When there are good roads, we have good hospital, we have a good school, and all these essential amenities are there. Then we are good to go. We'll be happy. So if there's any project that will be abandoned or they have not been able to finish, they should not abandon such a project. They should rather continue from where they stop.
So I am urging and calling on the federal government to, as a matter of urgency, see that these roads are fixed.
For more than a decade and counting, the bad roads in the state have been a nightmare to motorists, who are urging the federal government to act fast to salvage the situation. Jimmy Azandi, Trust TV News, Makurdi.
The Minister of Works, David Umahi, has raised concerns over the deplorable state of federal roads in the country, with particular reference to the east-west road in the south-south region, saying if nothing is done, states within the region will be cut off from the rest of the country. The former Ebonyi State Governor stated this when he paid a courtesy call on the Governor of Bayelsa State, Doidere, who was represented by his Deputy Governor, Lawrence Ero-Jakpo, in Government House, Yenagua, when inspecting federal roads. Friday Peter has more.
The Works Minister David Umahi stated that the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu-led federal government is determined to improve road infrastructure across the country, noting that all ongoing jobs should be redesigned to accommodate the construction of concrete roads, which is more effective than asphalt.
The president is determined to reset the road infrastructure. He's the one who has brought the concrete technology. He directed me to be on this east-west road. And I've been on this west road. There is danger that is about to happen. Yes. We've noticed about 10 locations where the road, by the mercy of God, we still have one lane. So if we don't do something the next 30 days, the other lane may go. Yeah. And that means that nobody can travel from Warri to Bayelsa to Port Harcourt. So we've noticed a total collapse of Six Palm Bridge.
Yeah. Umahi also commended Governor Diri's developmental stride in terms of infrastructure, describing it as unprecedented, and highlighted some of the federal roads ongoing in the state.
You have done extremely very, very well. Yeah, and God will bless you. Governor bless you, in all honesty. And this is what we are talking about.
Good governance.
Good governance, And the moment after the election, we should forget about party and work for the people. We're very proud of what you have done, but we know that we can do better than you. We inspected the dualization of Yengwe Road to Kolo Otuoke. That's the one going to the university.
Responding, the Bayelsa State Governor Doyeduru, represented by his deputy Lawrence Ero-Jakpo, called for more collaboration between the state and federal governments to drive development to the coastal communities in the 3 senatorial districts of the state. Ero-Jakpo further appealed for more federal roads to be constructed in the state.
We have less than 100 kilometers of federal road in Bayelsa, because we are starting from Patani Bridge and you're terminating at Mbiama. Then you take this Mbiama, Yenagua, and then the Kolo, and this other one. So you take it, that is all we have in Bayelsa State.
We'll give you
as you are aware, we have also been collaborating with the federal government.
Yes.
You are aware that the Brass Nimbe Road, we have taken the challenge. So we really want you to come in and see how we can mate on that project. Yes. So we can take road to the people in Brass. Again, the same thing goes for Age, Ekeremo. But more often than not, our people do not understand that the development that is coming through their way is for them to have development and development taken to them.
Yeah.
And so I can assure you that the Senator Diri-led government will do all that is within their ambit to ensure that we collaborate on those compensation issues.
The minister also promised to interface with the state government on the need to collaborate in the ongoing construction of the Nembe Brass Road, Ekeremo Age Road, and the Yenagua Oporoma Road. Friday, Ebimobowe Peter, Trust TV News, Yenagua.
The Acting Inspector General of Police, Kayode Ebetokun, has on Wednesday ordered an immediate clampdown on the killings of some security operatives, including men of the Nigerian Army and Police, as well as those of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps in Imo State during an ambush. This is just as the Rule of Law and Accountability Advocacy Center, ROLAC, advised the Police High Command to deploy more of discreet intelligence in order to apprehend the real culprits of the dastardly act. Daily Trust had reported how gunmen killed 8 security agents on Tuesday morning in the Omwalumaku community of Eheme, Mbanu local government area of the state. Members of the Joint Security Task Force were said to be in 2 security trucks, when they ran into an ambush and were set ablaze by their attackers, when none of them survived as they were burnt inside their operational vehicles. Reacting to the development, the acting IGP through Force spokesman Olumuyiwa Adejobi explained that the force will collaboratively work with other security agencies to bring the perpetrators to book. Meanwhile, still in Imo residents express worry over attacks on security operatives that has abated in the southeast. The act is carried out with impunity and in a more deadly manner this time. Trust TV's Ajibade Awefeso has more on this.
There is no doubt that the nation is facing internal security problems, but each of the state and geopolitical zones have their peculiarities. Boko Haram and banditry in the northeast and armed secessionists in the southern part of the country have been ravaging the peace of the country. One of such attacks is the ambush of security patrol team comprising of soldiers, police and NSCDC personnel operating in Eyimimbano, local government area of the state on Tuesday the 19th of September, killing 5 of them. Residents are now expressing fears over the resurgence of activities of these men of the underworld.
The security situation in Imo State is really very, very unfortunately bad. We need a total reorganization of the security system in Imo State because everybody is in fear, everybody is running helter-skelter.
We have situations where unidentified people terrorize the law-abiding citizens of these states, and they do that at will, without any intervention or without any capturing from the police force. So Imo State presently is not we used to know.
This public analyst and expert in conflict resolution, Gossent Chilos, said the state may not experience peace from the criminals until a political, local and conventional approach to the matter is adopted.
One, we have over and over time called for an inclusive security summit, an inclusive town hall multi-stakeholders dialogue to resolve the issues of insecurity in the state. And we have also advised the governor to use every political means to resolve it rather than engaging on confrontation, because in most cases the Bible says violent beget violent.
The people are relying seriously on the government to provide lasting solution to the issues of security in the state before things get out of hands. More so now that the state will be going into election come November 11th.
So we are in a very terrible situation now. The security situation in Imo State has gotten to a stage where a state of emergency should be declared on that sector.
The government should do something about it. We can't close our eyes and sleep comfortably. Our kids are outside going to school. We don't know what next that might happen.
Though the government and security agencies claim they are on top of the matter, the residents say little or no success is recorded so far, adding that a better approach be considered to offer lasting solution. Ajibade Awofeso, Trust TV News, Owerri.
Police command in Jigawa State has arrested a 27-year-old man for allegedly parading himself as the personnel of the Department of State Services (DSS) in the state. The command's police public relations officer DSP Lawan Shiisu, who confirmed this in a statement in Duzi on Wednesday, said the suspect was arrested on September 16 in Duzi. Shiisu said the suspect, a resident of Garku local government area of Kano State, was arrested after he allegedly extorted 2 students of Jigawa State Polytechnic Duzi with the promise of securing DSS and NDLEA jobs for them. He added that the police have also arrested a 26-year-old man for alleged armed robbery in Gwaram local government area of the state. Shiisu said another suspect, aged 35 years and resident of the Masara village, was arrested for alleged vandalism. According to him, 2 other suspects, aged 20 and residents of Katoge area of Kazora local government area, were arrested for alleged trespass and theft. Shiisu said the suspect allegedly invaded the residence of one Osman Abdullahi of same area and stole property worth 3.5 million naira. Now, an operation led by the commander of Anti-Cultism and Kidnapping Squad, ACK's Dragon Squad, in Cross River State, SP Ogini Chukuma, has uncovered a massive gun manufacturing factory in Osomba community of Akamkak local government area of the state. The operation took place on Wednesday morning on the orders of the Commissioner of Police in the state, CP Yogun Grema. Police confirmed that they arrested 9 suspects, including bomb makers. The detectives recovered remote control IEDs, detonators, other explosive devices, several automatic weapons, dozens of locally made double-barrel guns and pistols, and several other exhibits. Sources familiar with the factory said most guns and weapons used by gangsters and other criminals in the state to terrorize citizens may be fabricated in the Osomba factory. PRO of the command, SP Erene Obo, said the 9 suspects were now in their custody, including a notorious armed robbery suspect simply identified as Rock Etim, aka Gowon. Now, the Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission RMAFC has disclosed that the total sum of 5.2 trillion naira has accrued into the Federation account for the period of January to June 2023, as captured in the monthly report of the Federation Account Allocation Committee FAAC by the Central Bank of Nigeria CBN. In a statement signed by the RMAFC chairman Mohammed Bello Shehu, out of the total gross revenue inflows into the Federation account, the sum of 6.27 billion naira was NNPCL Petroleum Profit Tax PPT due, captured and recorded by the FIRS but utilized by the NNPCL for other government obligations. According to the statement, the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission NUPRC remitted 8.23 billion naira, while the Federal Inland Revenue Service FIRS made a gross calculation of 3.6 trillion but remitted 3.2 trillion, retaining the difference as cost of collection. The statement listed other revenue sources to include value-added tax VAT, electronic money transfer levy EMTL, as well as the solid minerals sector. You're still watching News Hour on Trust TV. We'll take a quick break. We'll return.
That's
Welcome back. Now, President Bola Tinubu says international institutions, other nations and their private sector actors must see African development as a priority, not just for the continent but in the interest of the global community. He spoke early on Wednesday while addressing the world during 78th session of the United Nations General Assembly in New York, acknowledging that Africa's progress had been hindered by failures in good governance. The Nigerian leader stressed that broken promises, unfair treatment, and outright exploitation from abroad had also exerted a heavy toll on the continent's ability to progress. Kendi Amodu looks at the crucial points raised in the speech. Take a look.
The speech of President Tinubu significantly differs from those of Nigerian presidents that have stood before him to address the world on this podium. There is no mention of inequality in Western Sahara or in the Middle East, but a clear focus on Africa and its progress, with a call for the same level of political commitment and devotion of resources under the Marshall Plan after the Second World War.
Failures in good governance have hindered Africa, but broken promises, unfair treatment, and outright exploitation from abroad have also exerted a heavy toll on our ability to progress.
The interest of Nigeria glimmers underneath President Tinubu's bold demand for a better deal for Africa. But the Nigerian leader clarifies that the question is not whether his country is open for business, but how much of the world is truly open to doing business with Nigeria and Africa in an equal, mutually beneficial manner.
Both long-standing internal and external factors, Nigeria's and Africa's economic structures have been skewed to impede development, industrial expansion, job creation, and the equitable distribution of wealth. If Nigeria is to fulfill its duty to its people, I know, and the rest of Africa, we must create jobs and the belief in a better future for our people.
But the Nigerian leader is in turn urging the international community to strengthen its commitment to arrest the flow of arms and violent people into West Africa. President Tinubu is urging the international community to secure Africa's mineral-rich areas from pilfering and conflict.
The mayhem visited on resource-rich areas does not respect national boundaries. Sudan, Mali, Burkina Faso, Central African Republic, and the list grow on and on and on. The problem also knocks at Nigerians' door.
The Nigerian president's thoughts on climate change also reflect the new thinking by the new administration. While he acknowledges the destruction heralded by climate change in Nigeria and the continent at large, President Tinubu stresses that African nations will fight climate change on their own terms. For a first speech, the points raised by the Nigerian president are a clear departure from hashed-up themes and ineffective advocacy on repeat. It remains to be seen if the global community is willing or has the capacity to respond positively to all issues raised. Kehinde Amodu, Trust TV News.
And now away from Nigeria, Ali Bongo's son Nuruddin Bongo Valentin and several members of the deposed Gabonese president's cabinet were jailed and charged on Tuesday with high treason and active corruption, the Libreville prosecutor told AFP on Wednesday. Ali Bongo's eldest son, former presidential spokesman Jesse Ella Ekoga, and 4 other people were indicted on Tuesday and remanded in custody, said Andre Patrick Raponen, the public prosecutor at Libreville, Gabon's capital. On the very day of the coup, the military arrested one of the sons of the deposed head of state, as well as 5 other young senior officials from the office of the former president and his wife Sylvia Bongo Valentin. Searches of their homes, broadcast extensively on state television, showed them at the feet of trunks, suitcases and bags overflowing with bundles of banknotes. His wife, Bongo Valentin, is under house arrest in Libreville for her protection, according to the presidency, and arbitrarily detained, according to her lawyers. Ali Bongo, who was initially placed under house arrest in Libreville for several days after the post, is now free to move about and has the possibility of traveling abroad, and Chief General Oligu announced on 6th September. And now finally on sports news, Rivers United have started preparations for the returned leg of the CAF Confederation Cup clash against Etoile Flante. The Pride of Rivers will battle the Burkinabés at the Adoke Amesimaka Stadium, Port Harcourt. The return leg is fixed for October 1st, 2023. The first leg ended in a goalless draw at the Stade Municipal Stadium, Yamoussoukro, on Sunday. The former Nigeria Premier Football League champions on Tuesday evening embarked on a light training session after the team's arrival from Côte d'Ivoire. The winner of the encounter will progress to the group stage of the competition. And with that, we have come to the end of the Trust News Hour. Do not forget to follow us across all our media platforms and join our YouTube live stream for more news, programs, and documentary. I am Abdurrahman Omar. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.
the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.